Few people talk about this, but those who awaken pay a price that most will never pay. While some stumble, repeat mistakes, persist, and go on with life as if nothing happened, others feel the impact almost immediately. And then a silent question gnaws inside. Why is it always harder for me? Perhaps the problem isn't suffering, perhaps it's responsibility. Chosen ones aren't tested because they are weak, but because they can bear more truth. There's an uncomfortable paradox here. The more awareness you have, the less freedom you have to make mistakes without consequence. God doesn't treat everyone equally, and that seems unfair until you understand why. Spiritual awakening lifts the veil of ignorance, and with it disappears the excuse. The pain that arrives doesn't come to destroy, it comes to align. And when you understand this, you realize you are not being punished, you are being prepared. In this video, you will understand why consequences arrive faster for some, why comparing your life to the majority is a dangerous mistake, and how to turn pressure into real spiritual growth. If you feel that life is demanding more from you than from others, perhaps this isn't bad luck, perhaps it's a calling. Many people carry the uncomfortable feeling that life hits harder for them. And look, this doesn't come out of nowhere. Chosen ones often feel this weight because they don't live on autopilot. There's a spiritual awakening underway, even if silent, that changes everything inside. When awareness expands, God doesn't demand less, He demands more. And this is where the discomfort begins. Something few can explain, but many feel. Notice how the unconscious stumble, fall, move on, and sleep peacefully. Yet chosen ones, even when they make small mistakes, feel deeply. This isn't injustice, it's spiritual growth in action. Higher awareness brings higher responsibility, plain and simple. Those who see what they do cannot pretend they didn't. And when ignored, the price is paid quickly, almost as if life itself whispers, "You know better than this." Perhaps this is why some consequences seem immediate. The universe doesn't punish ignorance, it charges awareness. People on the path of spiritual awakening feel this adjustment almost in real time. It's not punishment, it's alignment. God doesn't treat everyone the same because not everyone is at the same level of lucidity. And when this realization begins, an uncomfortable question arises. If this isn't persecution, then what happens when someone insists on comparing themselves to those who haven't awakened? One of the fastest shortcuts to frustration is looking at your own journey through the eyes of someone living on autopilot. Chosen ones fall into this trap when they start comparing themselves to the majority. Why does so-and-so do everything wrong and nothing happens? This question may seem innocent, but it carries poison. Those on the path of spiritual awakening are playing a different game, with stricter rules and faster consequences, even if invisible. Most people make mistakes and move on because they don't feel the internal impact of error. Those with elevated consciousness pay internally first. The weight comes in the form of restlessness, silent guilt, sleepless nights. It's not a privilege, it's an invisible contract with God and with one's own awareness. Spiritual growth doesn't allow prolonged anesthesia. The more lucid someone is, the less room there is to pretend nothing happened. Consider a simple situation. Someone lies, knowing exactly they are lying. For many, it passes unnoticed. For the chosen, the consequence begins before any external punishment. The body reacts, the mind accuses, the heart tightens. It's like carrying an internal alarm that goes off whenever you go off track. And when this difference becomes clear, another inevitable question arises. Why do consequences seem to arrive faster and faster? There's an invisible mechanism that almost no one talks about, but every chosen one feels it firsthand. The greater the lucidity, the lower life's tolerance for self-deception. People in spiritual growth don't receive long margins for error. Life accelerates corrections because it knows there's potential there. God doesn't waste time shaping those who refuse to see. This is why repeated mistakes lead to rapid collapse. The first warning is usually subtle, a strange discomfort, a sense of misalignment, that unease that appears out of nowhere. Many ignore it, keep forcing, pushing along. But for the chosen, insisting on error is like speeding toward a visible wall. The impact doesn't come by surprise, it comes from stubbornness. Before life brings you down, it always warns you. The problem is the warning doesn't come with sirens, it comes as discomfort, an invitation to change course. Those on the path of spiritual awakening learn sooner or later that ignoring these signs is costly, and when the fall happens, it usually hits a specific point, precisely where the ego begins to infiltrate and sabotage everything without asking permission. The ego is silent, persuasive, and extremely patient. It doesn't shout, it whispers. Chosen ones often fall when they begin to believe they are above the rules. Spiritual awakening, when poorly digested, becomes a trap. Instead of humility, a sense of exception arises. And this is where spiritual growth starts to stall without the person realizing it. Spiritual pride is treacherous because it disguises itself as evolution. One thinks, I already know, I already understand, it's different from me. This thought creates dangerous gaps. God doesn't demand perfection, He demands coherence. And when someone aware acts against what they know is right, the weight of consequence is doubled. The ego convinces you just this once won't matter, until it does. The ego convinces you that you're in control, until everything goes out of control. When this happens, it usually isn't sudden. First, small losses, then confusing decisions. Finally, the feeling that something essential is off. For the chosen, this fall isn't random. It prepares the ground for something deeper, the moment when life seems to withdraw the hand that once protected. There's a delicate point in the journey of the chosen when life changes its posture, not out of cruelty, but out of necessity. When one insists on ignoring warnings, something curious happens. The sense of protection begins to fade. Doors that once opened easily now jam. The flow stalls. What once seemed light now requires disproportionate effort. And it hurts because comparison with before is inevitable. Many describe this moment as if God has stepped away, but it's not exactly that. What disappears isn't presence, it's automatic support. People in spiritual growth need to learn to sustain their own axis. Relationships dissolve, invitations vanish, opportunities cool. Not as punishment, but as a mirror. Life begins to say without words, now you need to walk on your own. Do you feel you've lost the flow that once accompanied you? This question hits hard because it touches a real memory, that phase when everything seemed to conspire in your favor. When it disappears, the void reveals something important, where you were leaning your strength outside yourself. And this withdrawal of protection sets the stage for a greater understanding, that pain and consequence aren't punishment, but intelligent correction. A common mistake that makes many suffer more than necessary is believing that pain is a sentence. For the chosen, this perception is dangerous. Consequence is not punishment, it's fine-tuning. Everything that falls does so because it wasn't solid. This applies to relationships, projects, identities, and even beliefs. Spiritual growth begins when one stops asking, "Why me?" and starts asking, "What is this trying to align in me?" Pain points to where truth has been neglected. Sometimes it appears in a relationship that collapses, other times in a project that no longer progresses. God doesn't break anyone for pleasure. He removes what supports a version that no longer serves. People in spiritual awakening feel this more intensely because they cannot build on illusions for long. Discomfort becomes the teacher, not the enemy. Life doesn't break you, it adjusts you. And when this understanding matures, something shifts internally. The person stops resisting reality and starts listening. This is the point where the fall reveals character but doesn't yet define it. What truly defines it is the next move, what to do when it becomes clear that the pressure has arrived and you can no longer pretend you didn't see. What to do when you realize you are being held accountable. The first step is the hardest because it wounds pride. Stop resisting reality. Chosen ones often expend energy trying to explain, justify, or soften what is already clear. When pressure arrives, negotiating with facts is useless. Spiritual growth begins when one faces the situation without makeup, without a comforting narrative, without self-deception. The truth hurts less when accepted early. The second step is to take full responsibility. Not partial, not symbolic, full. This means eliminating excuses, stopping blaming people, circumstances, or the past. A practical exercise helps. Write in a few lines where you knew you were wrong and still continued. This simple act dismantles the ego. God works better when one stops hiding behind well-told stories. Finally, there's the return to the internal code. Doing the right thing even when no one is watching, even when there's no immediate advantage. For the chosen, this code is non-negotiable. Small daily actions realign more than grand promises. Adjust habits, cut excess, say no more than yes. And when this return happens, an unsettling realization emerges. Perhaps the true sign of being chosen was never success, but something much quieter. Many associate being chosen with luck, success, or some visible advantage, but that's an illusion. The real sign is internal and sometimes uncomfortable. Chosen ones cannot lie to themselves for long. Something inside signals quickly. Mistakes weigh, awareness tightens, silence becomes loud. This is spiritual awakening in action, even when no one notices externally. While most can push inconsistencies aside for years, those in spiritual growth feel the impact almost immediately. It's not drama, it's sensitivity. God sharpens the perception of those who can bear more responsibility. That's why small choices already trigger significant internal responses. There is no prolonged neutrality. Either one grows or the discomfort grows through them. Life forces you to grow because it trusts what you can become. This constant pressure is not persecution, it's investment. If life demands from you, it's because it trusts who you can become. And when this understanding settles in, the desire naturally arises to share, reflect, and choose better. After all, if consciousness is the sign, what you do with it matters more than ever. After all this, it's clear that the pressure is not a random burden, it's a calling. Chosen ones don't get easy paths because they weren't born to live shallow. Spiritual awakening removes the comfort of unconsciousness and delivers something more demanding, responsibility for who you are and who you are becoming. God doesn't call those who flee from truth, He calls those who can face it. Perhaps, as you listen, a specific area of your life is screaming for adjustment. It could be a relationship, a delayed decision, a habit you know has crossed the line. Spiritual growth begins when one stops waiting for an external sign and realizes that internal discomfort is already the sign. You can no longer pretend you didn't notice. So the question hangs in the air, slowly, without escape. In which area of your life do you feel most accountable today? Reflecting on this changes choices. And if this video spoke to you, leave a like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Here, we don't romanticize pain. We use awareness to grow. If you've made it this far, you've already realized it's not just about understanding why consequences arrive. It's about what you will do with this awareness. Chosen ones don't have the luxury of unconsciousness. Spiritual growth demands cleaner choices, firmer actions, and above all, courage to not negotiate with what you know is true. Life doesn't ask for perfection, it asks for alignment. Aligning hurts less than resisting. Now, reflection is inevitable. In which area of your life has God been demanding the most from you lately? Where have you been feeling that silent weight that no one sees but you feel every day? Spiritual awakening begins when you turn pressure into action, pain into adjustment, fall into learning. Agreeing is not enough, application is necessary. A different decision today changes the path of tomorrow. If this content made sense to you, don't let it end here. Subscribe, turn on notifications, and keep walking with us. Here, there's no comfortable illusion, only truth that strengthens. Comment below, in which area of your life do you feel most accountable right now?